Game week 33 in the Premier League. We got 6 bets from 6 games for everyone. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen. Chris, coming fresh off Champions League, fresh off. We're talking Thursday, so we're not fresh off Europa League, but happy Thursday. We're doing this one a little earlier, so this will be prior to injuries.
Yeah, we haven't quite seen any press conferences, especially from some of the teams that played, either have played Tuesday, Wednesday, or will play today, referring to Man United and Tottenham, and I guess Chelsea too. So don't have any information on that, and some of the other teams just generally have not done press conferences yet. So I wouldn't say blind, but any big ones that come in late will not be a part of our bets. So could be worth noting to check the odds before you plug anything in on Saturday or Sunday, or even for a late Monday match. So just good note there, but fired up after a big time week of Champions League. We got a couple of big matches here in Europa League and Europa Conference, but for us, it's always about the Premier League. So fired up to talk about Game Week 33 here.
Fired up. Yeah, I hit a couple Champions League props on Tuesday. More so Tuesday. There's some good numbers with some of the Aston Villa players. But we got a bunch of stuff over at the site. We got FPL articles. We got FPL rankings, Fantrax articles. And guess what? We have Europa League bets here from our guy BJ Cunningham. Click on that Europa League bets. But again, we're talking Premier League here. So we got 6 games that we are discussing. First game coming up is Everton are home against Manchester City. Everton plus 280 to win. Manchester City minus 105 to win. Coming off they were down 2 goals, then they scored 4 in a row basically against Crystal Palace. Won that one 5-2. The draw is plus 265. Everton coming off a nice win themselves at Nottingham Forest 1-0. Man City have a couple things, but Ederson got hurt in that last game. Foden, something came up, but Foden hasn't had the best of seasons. I'm not sure how much that matters. The bigger thing for Man City, they started kind of a weird lineup against Crystal Palace. They had James McAtee starting, and then a couple other things. It was, I think, Kovacic, Gundogan, Nico, and James McAtee all starting, and they went down 2 goals, and then it was like it didn't matter. They scored all those goals in a row. So, do you think? I guess both these teams are coming off wins. What team you think is coming off more of a high with their latest win?
I got to give it to Everton, actually, because that's a really strong win away from home, if I'm correct, against Forest. Palace, or City, obviously. I mean, that's a good bounce back for them, too, after the 0-0 draw against United. But both teams coming off nice results. This one's interesting. You mentioned James McAtee getting playing time. I wonder if it's just like Pep is like, the season's kind of cooked. We're not really. I guess they have FA Cup still, but let's get.
They're still playing for Champions League. They're in 5th right now.
Yeah, it's tight. I wonder if they're maybe trying to get him a little more playing time in hopes that they kind of his value goes up. He's a pretty young player. I could see them maybe. It seems like this season was going to be kind of pivotal for him, and he hasn't really ever it wasn't like he was like Rico Lewis, who came in and got a lot of playing time. That was probably 2 seasons ago. So I wonder if they're just trying to get him a little bit more playing time in hopes of either moving on from him and selling him for a higher value, or just keeping him and developing him a little bit more. So that was certainly interesting. At least for this matchup, you look at Everton at home, who are always pretty tough at home. We're in the dying embers of Goodison Park here, so you got to believe that the fans are going to be up for it. Everton, outside of that, have been really, really tough lately. I mean, they lost to Liverpool a couple games ago, but that's obviously the league leaders. But other than that, they've been able to get points, a point, essentially. So they drew Arsenal recently as well, and then obviously beat Forest. They drew Wolves, West Ham, and Brentford. So nothing crazy there, but they're getting a point where they should get a point here. I think the telltale sign here is that draw with Arsenal, which is really important. So I guess you could say they've gotten points from 2 of the top 4 right now, and City being a top 5 team here, so could play them tough again. I kind of believe in them here. I think City have been a little bit of stop-start recently. They've won 3 of their past 4, but I like Everton here to at least take a point. And then you look at their results. I like Everton double chance. You look at their results. It's been 1-0 against Forest, 1-1 against Arsenal, and they lost 1-0 to Liverpool, 1-1 against West Ham, 1-1, and then you have a variety of 1-1s against those teams that I previously mentioned. So I like Everton double chance here and under 2.5. It's plus 184. We did look at some other. You can go if you're like, I don't know if I want to do the under 2.5. You can also just get Everton double chance. It's minus 120. Not quite as good of odds, but still a pretty good bet there. What do you think? Do you think City have kind of gotten over a season-long hump here and can take 3 points here, or is it ever you think Everton are going to be able to hold them and or even do better?
I don't think City have gotten over the hump. Is kind of what it comes down to. They have some positive results. I mean, I guess we're looking at the FA Cup one. They beat Bournemouth. Maybe that's been their best win of recent. But even in league play, just still really hasn't been there. And gave up those 2 early goals at Crystal Palace. Now Crystal Palace have allowed 10 goals in the last 2 games. Maybe something going on there defensively because Chris Richards has been back in the starting 11. Maybe a problem within Crystal Palace itself. But I mean, we saw that Manchester United game. I feel like this game at Everton is kind of similar to that at Manchester United match. Man City, it's finished scoreless. Man City controlled it for a bit the first half, couldn't find a breakthrough. Man United had a couple chances in the second half, couldn't find a breakthrough. I think it's kind of similar to this. And you kind of left out the big nugget here is we're still as we're looking at Everton, this is just the final season at Goodison Park. They're just playing up all these final games at Goodison Park here. And I just don't think they're going to lose the rest of the way at home. I think that's the biggest thing I want to take into this as we go down to the end of the season. I mean, I'm looking at the rest of their schedule. They have 3 more home games left. Home against Ipswich, home against Southampton are their next 2 at home. And then that is it at Goodison Park. And I think that just the fans and the emotions, they just play into this. We kind of saw that in the Merseyside derby a couple months ago. That was a 2-2 result against Liverpool. They've had all these games. You're just going back in their schedule. The last time they lost in league play was, we're going January, home against Aston Villa, then Nottingham Forest. And, this was pre-David Moyes as well. So I like the play. I think you could also throw in, I guess scoreless and 1-1 are both in play with this Everton double chance under 2.5 goals. I like the odds of it plus 184, but I think you maybe just do an exact score for 1-1. Those are probably like plus 400 odds. That would be probably something I might consider here. Yeah, but I do like Everton double chance. I wonder which way the odds are going to go. We do have about a week ago is plus 255, 245 for Everton to win. Now it's plus 280. So I guess people are betting Man City. So maybe if we wait, we can get closer to even odds on Everton double chance by itself as well. So
yeah, the 1-1 is plus 450 on DraftKings. So that's a good consideration too.
Yeah, not too bad. But I still like, you're getting plus 180 here with this single game parlay. We should have started at the top here. You don't know any of my bets, but this is a business and boys show where we're just filled with single game parlays. We could be called the single game parlay show because that's where we're going a lot of times here. And the next game that I am talking about will be a single game parlay. Crystal Palace are home against AFC Bournemouth. Crystal Palace, as mentioned, just really struggling a bit defensively. These odds have also gone towards Bournemouth here. Now we're at Crystal Palace at home, plus 160 to win. Bournemouth plus 165 to win. Bournemouth coming off a big win. You got the money line hit on, that was a Monday. You got the money line winner from our last show. They needed, I think it was 7 saves from Kepa. Had some great saves there to keep Fulham out. At Crystal Palace, I was thinking there's going to be more goals in that Fulham Bournemouth game. There probably should have been more goals. I think both were close to maybe 2xG. It was pretty wild in the first half. I kind of think we're going to get that here. I think we're going to get goals here. Bournemouth have been allowing goals prior to that 1-0 win. They have been allowing goals. The way that they play, the way that they press, just leaves them open in the back. And I don't know what we just make of this Crystal Palace team. It was, I think before this run, Crystal Palace was okay. since the new year in 2025. Crystal Palace was like a top 3 team in the Premier League. Was one of the numbers, maybe top 2. And then it's like allow 5 goals. Are they just looking towards the end of the season? There's not a ton to play for, sit in the middle of the table. Who knows? Bournemouth still has some hope of getting a European spot. So I guess they're playing towards that. But I'm going single game parlay is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals minus 105. So 2-2, 2-1, either way, whatever, 3-2. I think all those score lines are in play because I just think I think the Crystal Palace defensive issues are relevant. Bournemouth's defensive issues are also relevant. I think both teams are going to be able to score here. So getting even odds here for both teams scoring over 2.5, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, and I like this bet too. I wonder how much that game could have gone differently if Eze doesn't just roll a penalty up to Nick Pope, and does it give them a little bit more belief? Because that was was a very bad penalty.
It was surprising that he actually took it, because I think Mateta was actually like the previous penalty taker. Then all of a sudden Eze takes it, and it's like, and then he misses, and it's like, why did Eze actually take that over Mateta? And I don't know, just weird things, I guess, going on over there.
Yeah, that was super odd. But yeah, Capo kind of stood on his head on Monday for sure. Luckily, the bet hit. But yeah, 10 goals in 2 games, it doesn't give you a whole lot of hope that Palace are going to sit back and be really strong defensively. So yeah, I like the over 2.5. I think it's not like somebody's going to come out and run away with this. Both teams have been, despite Bournemouth winning recently, winning on, I guess that would have been Monday. Both teams have been pretty questionable, and not a whole lot of great results for them either. So I think we'll see some goals.
We'll see some goals, hopefully. The biggest game, maybe the biggest game of the weekend, is the next one that Chris has a bet for. Arguably the biggest game of the weekend. So Aston Villa are home against Newcastle, plus 145 to win. Newcastle are plus 175 to win. A little bit ago, about 10 days ago, Aston Villa were plus 120 to win. Now they're plus 145. So the odds have moved. Aston Villa, 54 points in the table. They're sitting 7th, tied with Chelsea, who are above them. And then Newcastle are now 3rd in the table after their win on Wednesday, 59 points. So Newcastle play Wednesday. They get that win against Crystal Palace. Aston Villa have the massive PSG game on Tuesday. So both kind of at not really a rest advantage here. But look at the injury news here. Aston Villa are about healthy. They got Leon Bailey back. This is one of the first times all season they're completely healthy. So maybe, I think we talked about this last week, where they have the guys to be able to rotate. Like Ali Watkins hasn't been starting in Champions League. Guys like Asensio came off the bench. Jacob Ramsey came off the bench. Ian Matson came off the bench as well. So they have basically all these guys. So I'm not sure, playing midweek matters too much. Just a massive game here. I think it could go any number of ways given Newcastle's form. Aston Villa have also been playing well, even though they just got kicked out of Champions League. Arguably put up a better fight than Liverpool. But what's the read on this match here?
Adam, you said it when we right around when we started the show, but it's the business end of the season here. So if we're gonna go from one cliche to the next strong cliche, this is a 6-pointer. So we've got this is a huge game. This is definitely the biggest game of the weekend. There's a couple other big ones out there, but probably the one that I will be most locked in for. It's rare that you can go to these matches, especially on RotoWire, and see no injuries have been reported. If you're watching on YouTube, that is so rare to not see anybody. I think no physical injuries here, but some emotional ones after they were firmly. I mean, they put up a pretty solid fight against PSG. Kind of came back, ended up winning that game. But yeah, ended up knocked out of the Champions League, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think this game, coupled with Newcastle have won, it's a 5 straight in the league here now. They've in pretty convincing fashion too. Like we mentioned, the 5-0 shellacking of Palace. Previously, you won 4-1, 3-0. They've kind of beat everybody too. So it's good for them. You look at some of their previous matchups here, and it's pretty much been Newcastle have won. I guess they've won 3 of the last 3 meetings between these two teams. So I am firmly believing in the team that's hot, the team that's, kind of won most of these matchups in recent times. So, but aside from that, I just think that we'll see a couple of goals here. Newcastle putting up a ton of goals recently. I like them to score at least 2 goals. Grab over 1.5. It's plus 110. So nothing crazy on the odds. I looked at you can go other ways with like Newcastle double chance, which in like an over 1.5 or an over 2.5, and you get a little bit better odds. But I just think this is a little safer bet here to get for Newcastle to at least come away with 2 goals. So I'm all over that one. They've scored at least 2 goals in their past 4 matches, so might as well run with that.
How many goals do you think Aston Villa are scoring?
I can see a 2-2 here. I think it'll be tough for Newcastle to go out and win the game outright, but I think Villa, you mentioned just how the roster's deep. Like, it's deeper than they've been in a lot of recent years. And you mentioned the health, and I just think they can put up a fight here too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see like a little 2-2.
Yeah, I think you look at this game, and I think the offenses and both attacks are clicking. Maybe the best they have all season. And funny enough, it's without Anthony Gordon. That's been starting. Harvey Barnes has been really good for Newcastle. But both these teams have been really good offensively. I think the bigger question is where they're at defensively. I think you look at some of these recent results. I feel like a lot of those are just opponent and matchup. Because I'm still not sold on Aston Villa defensively, and we know Trippier and slow Newcastle center backs, they have issues. Probably will have issues with Aston Villa running in behind them. You kind of think that you're going to see a highlight where Rashford or Watkins gets in behind Dan Burn or something like that and taps in a goal. Feels like we already know that's going to happen. So, I mean, we look at some of these recent results. Okay, Eze maybe could have got that PK for Palace. Man United were kind of ran out of there. Leicester City. I don't know. You can find all these matchups. They have good defensive numbers, but I think I'm on that side of thinking both teams are scoring this one. So Newcastle over 1.5 goals for plus 110 odds is the bet. Moving on to Sunday. That is the standalone game on Saturday. Newcastle against Aston Villa. We're moving on to the West London derby here. Fulham home against Chelsea. I saw my this Chelsea jersey, the Shevchenko jersey. I got this, and I'm not going to put a bet here on Chelsea, unfortunately, but I got I like the old school look of this. We got, like, you can have, this is like a Michael Ballack look. We got the chest hair flowing out right here.
As he grabs his chest hair. I love that. That's a good imagery there.
It's that's the image I got when I was putting this on. Even though Shevchenko's on it, it's like I just remember Michael Ballack.
Drogba was in that kit too. With the Samsung sponsorship. Yeah. Beautiful kit.
Yeah, more of the classic Chelsea days, which was, I don't know, 20 years ago, I guess. But Fulham are plus 185 to win. Chelsea are plus 140 to win. Draw plus 245. Chelsea are in action today, and we don't obviously we're not going to have an update on that, but they're already up 3-0 on that tie, and they're at home. So as usual in Europa Conference League, they're probably going to rotate a bit. So I'm not sure that match is going to matter too much in this one. But overall, Chelsea just really hasn't been playing well, mostly. I mean, you look through a lot of their results. They had that result. They're in a spot right now where they basically need points. They need points if they want Champions League a spot next season. And you look through just the recent results, and it's like they really haven't been there. 1-0 against Tottenham, 1-0 against Leicester City, 1-0 loss against Arsenal, and then they have these draws against Brentford and Ipswich Town. They just really haven't been playing well. Cole Palmer hasn't been at the level that he was at last season or the first half of the season. And while I almost went Fulham, I was looking at Fulham corners, but I don't want to do another race to 5 corners and be in a position where they're only going to get 4 corners. I did that in Fulham against Liverpool a couple weeks ago. And I almost went Fulham money line, but they've done so many times where they get all these opportunities and they just can't convert goals. They just did that against Bournemouth. So I'm just going back to, as I said, the single game parlay roots here. So we got Fulham double chance and under 3.5 goals at -105. I'm leaning under because I just don't think this Chelsea attack has been great. Outside, okay, the Ipswich Town game was okay. Ipswich got a couple goals. Chelsea had to push. That ended 2-2. I don't really think we're going to get that. I think this is going to be a little more. Fulham will try and put the pressure on early. Maybe they'll score. Maybe they won't. But I'd be surprised if we get a 2-2 result here. I just think Chelsea have been struggling to score. And Fulham, I know they have that result against Liverpool 3-2. Hoping that doesn't happen here. But Fulham double chance under 3.5 goals, -105.
We're all over these same game parlays and the double chances and unders here this week.
Oh, I'm not done.
Not done with the same game parlays. Yeah, Chelsea really they're. I mean, given the depth that they have, it shouldn't be too big of a deal to play Thursday and then come back and play on Sunday. But I think Fulham are straight up like might be better. I don't know if that's fair to say, but they've definitely
right now, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of like this Fulham double chance bet, but yeah, Chelsea it's kind of a big deal here for Enzo. Like, if they miss Champions League, I mean, they should win Europa Conference League, so at least they'll be in Europa League you would think, next year. But if they don't make Champions League and don't win Europa League or Europa Conference League, is he cooked? Like is he going to be there next season? I don't know how they haven't really shown the capacity for like mediocrity from a manager in the past year. So I'm curious if they're like that into the project by the end of the season. Could be even tougher for them if they can't get 3 points from Fulham here.
Yeah, if they finish 7th in the table, it'll almost be like a similar situation to Man United and Tottenham, where like Manchester United with Ten Hag, it was like, okay, we won Europa League or we won the FA Cup, but they finished terribly in league play, kind of a thing. And it's just like, oh, okay, we won this cup, so let's keep him on a little bit longer. And I've heard that a little bit with Tottenham. It's like, okay, maybe they win Europa League, so Postecoglou is going to stay on, even though, they're finishing bottom half of the table. And, Chelsea were in a spot where they're favored to finish top 4. And now if they finish 7th, and I don't even know, Europa Conference League is just like, whatever. I don't, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter in the future of Enzo Maresca is what I'll say.
I agree. It's like you have the most expensive team by like $800 million. I don't know. You ever see those transfer marked Instagram posts? And it's like they'll do it every week where they show the value of Chelsea's squad versus the value of like the team they're about to play, and it's like a difference of like 900 million pounds. It's insane. So yeah, I don't put a whole lot of weight into that either.
Yeah, the teams they played in group stages, and even now, like we're in the quarterfinals, like Djurgården, Celtic, Jagiellonia, Bialstok, like these are the teams in the quarterfinals of Europa Conference League. I see a lot of team names. Some of those I've never seen before. So those are the teams in the quarterfinals of this competition, which is kind of crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Also on a Sunday, Manchester United, speaking of teams that are in precarious positions with their manager, Manchester United plus 100 to win, Wolverhampton plus 270. Look at this. Manchester United were minus 135 to win this one about 10 days ago. Now they're plus 100. Not a good look for them, but they also have a pretty big game. Not a same situation as Chelsea, because Manchester United really haven't been rotating in these games, and they're at home against Lyon, a Lyon team who is, it's a pretty not too different talent-wise. So that one's a pretty big game. Now they come back with this Sunday one against a Wolverhampton team that has been playing well. This was another one where I looked at Wolverhampton money line. I looked at Wolverhampton double chance, but the odds just weren't there for a double chance by itself. And I didn't want to take a chance on Wolverhampton away from home money line. So I have the same exact bet looking at it here. Wolverhampton double chance and under 3.5 goals plus 106 odds. Again, similar situation. So many of these Manchester United games are just kind of ugly. Their offense isn't that consistent, and they kind of lead a little more in their defense. Similar to Wolverhampton. I thought that was going to happen against Tottenham a little bit, but that game kind of went off the rails. last week for them. I don't think it's going to happen again here. So Wolves double chance under 3.5 goals plus 106 odds.
Wow. If I had to differ from your bet here, I would just go straight up Wolves plus 280 on the money line. Like, give it to me. United coming up. I think they're going to be physically fatigued if they, 3-day turnaround. Wolves playing pretty well lately. I like Wolves money line here.
I did like that. The last time Manchester United have lost at home was back in February 2nd. Since then, they have, they beat Real Sociedad. They have the 1-1 draw against Arsenal. They have the 0-0 draw against Man City. That's kind of what I'm thinking for this game. They've been playing well enough and getting enough defensively that I think it's going to be. That's why I think it's going to be tough to take Wolves money line. Is I guess what it comes down to for me.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I think Wolves have been good enough, and who knows? Like you mentioned to start the show, we're recording Thursday before all the Europa League games. But like, what if it goes to extra time? What if it goes to PK? What if it's like excruciating? And yeah, I don't know.
They
I'm into
lose in
Wolves here.
PKs and everyone is just like in the dumps. Then if that's the case, yeah, I'll probably bet Wolves money line.
I think the Wolves money line probably goes down a little bit after that, maybe, but
Yeah,
like down to like
great.
plus like 250 or 240 or something like that. But
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
It'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely on Wolves to at least take a point.
Yeah. Final match Sunday. This one, at the end of game week, maybe not the end of game week 33, but at the end of the weekend, this could be the game that can ensures Liverpool win the Premier League here. So that's what we're dealing with. Leicester City, 10 days ago, they were plus 700 to win. Now they're plus 950 to win. I don't know. I guess people are just betting Liverpool, and the original odds weren't that favorable. Kind of a weird number there, but Liverpool minus 425 to win. The draw plus 550. What do you got here? Liverpool coming off of a, I don't know, not a great performance against West Ham. They got a late winner there. They just got the 3 points. It feels like that's happened a lot this season where it's like, okay, Liverpool played okay, but then they put it on the final 10 minutes and they got the winning goal and they got 3 points, and that's all that matters. So
that's all that matters, baby. I think that 3 points, the caveat that Arsenal's playing Ipswich here, and I think they would need to lose to Ipswich in Liverpool to win.
Oh, it's not even a draw? Okay.
It's not even a draw. I think it's 6. They need 6 points. So
I mean, there's 13 points here. 13 points separation.
Right, but I like guarantees here. So I don't think it'll happen this weekend unless we see something really, really weird. Especially like Arsenal's kind of they got to be vibing after absolutely dominating Real. So I don't expect them to drop points really, and I think we'll go to next weekend when Liverpool play Tottenham. But I think the thing you're seeing here maybe in going from 700 to 950 is a couple of big signings. We got Mo Salah and Van Dijk here locked in for 2 more years. Maybe the bookmakers are like, we're going to see. They're like, all right, the boys are they're trotting to the title. They're coming back for another one. Confidence is high in the squad. I think is Trent back in training? Did I see? Probably still out because he's been out for a minute, but I guess he's been out for a couple of weeks. But I thought I read that he might be back in training. So that helps a little bit. Maybe come on as a sub, maybe not even appear. But you look back at some of these matchups. It's been kind of Liverpool pretty dominant, and I think Leicester at home have been pretty poor. I actually am all over. I think given the confidence of the 2 signings with Mo and Van Dijk, I actually like Liverpool to dominate here. I think I took them. I took the over 3.5 on total goals. I think we'll see a lot of goals here. Look at a few of these most recent matchups, and it's been like 3-1. Their last 2, one of those being an EFL Cup, or I guess a League Cup. So be careful there. But there's been quite a few goals in most recent matchups here. Couple that with Liverpool haven't really scored a lot of goals recently. I feel like this might be a good spot for them. They've kind of dominated Leicester. So couple the Liverpool and then over 3.5. That means I'm probably going to take Liverpool to win this game. You couple that together, you get one more same game parlay here on the business end of the season. You're getting plus 128.
Plus 128. Do you say you also like Liverpool over 3.5 goals?
You would kind of think that, but just given that Leicester's the one with the record of like not scoring at home, you'd think so. But I just you could go with this over 3.5 too. But yeah, I think 4 goals is quite a bit to bet on an away game.
Yeah, Leicester actually showed some life in their last game. They had a couple goals that they almost won. They almost won at Brighton.
Yeah,
Mavididi went back in the 11, and he was like an immediate spark. And everyone's questioning why Van Nistelrooy wasn't playing Mavididi at all. There's a lot of questions going around. But my question for you is here. So, would you rather Liverpool have a season like this where the title is basically over, or would you rather have them have it be close and they win the title with like 3 weeks to go kind of a thing?
so win the title versus win the title.
Well, win the title and have it like be actually competitive. Like I feel like this is just like
Anticlimactic.
yeah, you look at the numbers, Liverpool have 5 more wins than everyone else. Their goal differential is 13 better than everyone else. And then they're knocked out of all these cups early, and it's like okay, great, they won the Premier League. Like, how good was this team throughout the season? You look at the numbers, and now they're closing it kind of iffy. I don't know. It's just like a weird.
Kind of iffy. They've won 5 of the past 6 games. They've lost twice this season. The rest. It's not their fault. The rest of the league has sucked. Like they're winning games. They're impressive. Like I think I'm fine. It doesn't matter how. It's that they won it.
I don't know. I don't think
I'm gonna look back in 5 years and be like, oh yeah, you remember like that? The rest of the league kind of sucked all season.
I guess they've. I'm just more looking. Okay, the PSG
They lost to Fulham
result,
once, but
the PSG result, the Newcastle result, the Fulham result. I guess those are what's in my mind of how well they're playing. And then they didn't really look that great against West Ham.
Yeah, but they won. So I mean, I get your point. They had a tough week there where they lost the League Cup final. Biggest credit to Newcastle on that. Like they came up and showed out, and like arguably was one of the toughest. Played the best game that I've seen them play. That was really well done. And then I wouldn't put PSG winning the Champions League past them here this season. They've looked pretty good, especially in the knockouts more so than anything. But they've got Arsenal next round. If they get past them, then I think we'll be thinking a little bit differently about how the quarterfinal loss to round of 16 loss to them looks for Liverpool. But yeah,
I mean, I'm not looking down on it. I took PSG to win Champions League before they played Brest in the first round.
No, it would have been somebody else. It would have been
No, they played another French team. I think.
Oh yeah, it was Brest. Yeah,
they won like 10-1 or something.
Yeah.
But it just feels like the most memorable titles was like Man City winning on the final day or something like that, or I don't know, Arsenal collapsing in the final 5 weeks, so Man City won again. This one is just like it's been dead for like the final 10 weeks, and it feels like this. I don't know, the celebrations right now, the big Liverpool celebrations are like, hey, we signed Salah, we signed Van Dijk, let's go. That's like what the big Liverpool celebration is.
They haven't even won it yet, so how are they supposed to celebrate? We haven't even pulled the bus out. The bus, they got that thing in for an oil change right now. They're ready to get that thing out. Like,
I mean, the media, everyone already knows they won though, and like
also,
when
we'll go back to what is that 2019, 2020, 2019-20 when Liverpool won the league too. They won it. It was like a record of they won it with the most games left over. They were completely dominant. They won it with 7 or 8 games to go in the season. Obviously, we're in COVID, so couldn't celebrate that one either. But I would argue that maybe give it like 6 weeks, and we'll see some celebrations.
Yeah, Liverpool celebrations. This isn't, and then this isn't even like an historical season, so we count that against them as well. 99 points. This is a
terrible narrative. This is an absolutely terrible narrative. They're completely dominated the league.
I'm looking at that COVID season. They had 99 points, so it's historical in that aspect. They're not going to get 99 points here. And then Man City had a 15 better goal differential than them. So it wasn't even like they were
in that
I don't know.
season.
Yeah.
Well, they
So
won it with what? How many 8 games left in the season?
yeah, they won
They won
by
it. How many points did they win by?
18 points.
Okay, they're at 13 right now. Who says they don't win it by 18 again? Like that's a pretty dominant season. Also, I think we've ruined the we haven't ruined. Man City has ruined the concept of what a Premier League winner looks like because 99, 100 points has never been the norm. It's like 90 points has been tough. A lot of these seasons that have been mucked up in the past have been like 85 points might win you a title. So I think our concept of like what it is to be a league winner has rightfully changed because of recent dominance by City. But we used to be good with 85 points, and that might win you the title.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, that's enough of this Liverpool conversation. I think all the live listeners just took off here as we're discussing this. But use Roto15 ROTO15 to get 15% off any RotoWire subscription. But that's it for our bets. Thank you for listening. Make sure to give a thumbs up on the YouTube video, Chris. We'll see everyone next week for some more bets and some more winners. Good luck on your bets.